The interdiction. The iridescent barrier shimmered against the black void of space, curving impossibly around the entire solar system. Captain Maya Chen stood on the observation deck of the EDS Intrepid, Earth's most advanced defensive vessel, and watched as probe after probe disintegrated upon contact with the alien construct. "Anything?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the spectacle. Lieutenant Darian Wells checked his instruments and shook his head. "Nothing, Captain. That's the 7th probe. Whatever this barrier is, it's completely impenetrable. No signals in or out." The barrier had appeared 72 hours after humanity had rejected the Galactic Concordat's demands. For centuries, Earth had developed in isolation, unaware of the vast civilization that spanned the galaxy. Then, without warning, the Concordat had announced itself, demanding that humanity cease all research into quantum communication and cognitive amplification technology. Earth's United Council had refused. The response came swiftly. "Captain Chen, incoming transmission from Admiral Nakamura," the communications officer announced. Maya nodded and moved to the briefing room. On the screen, Admiral Keiko Nakamura looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes evidence of sleepless nights since the barrier appeared. "Captain, report to Lunar Command immediately. We've discovered something." 4 hours later, Maya found herself in a classified underground facility beneath the lunar surface. The room was filled with Earth's top military leaders and scientific minds. Admiral Nakamura stood at the center, beside a holographic display of the barrier. "Thank you all for coming," Nakamura began. "What I'm about to share is classified at the highest level. We've been contacted by someone from inside the Concordat." Murmurs filled the room. Maya leaned forward, intrigued. "This individual, calling themselves Vale, claims to be a member of the Solani, a species that joined the Concordat 3 centuries ago. According to Vale, the Concordat's concerns about our research are a facade. Their real fear is much more fundamental." The holographic display shifted to show a complex neural network map. Dr. Aisha Karim, Earth's leading neuroscientist, stepped forward. "This is an analysis of human cognition patterns compared to those of known Concordat species," she explained. "Notice the difference in associative pathways. Humans make creative leaps that other species find difficult to replicate. We call it intuition or creative thinking, but it's actually a fundamental difference in how our brains process information." Maya frowned. "They quarantined an entire species because we think differently." "It's more than that," Nakamura continued. "Vale sent us data showing that the Concordat's technological progress has stagnated for the past millennium. They've been recycling the same innovations with minor improvements. Then they started observing Earth." A timeline appeared on the display, showing major human technological breakthroughs alongside instances of unidentified aerial phenomena near research facilities. "They've been watching us," Maya said, comprehension dawning. "Stealing our ideas." "Exactly," Dr. Karim confirmed. "And they've been doing it for centuries. But in the last 50 years, our rate of innovation has accelerated exponentially. The Concordat doesn't just fear our technology. They fear our minds, our ability to make unexpected connections, to innovate rapidly. So they put us in a bubble," Maya concluded. "Containment." Admiral Nakamura nodded grimly. "Vale risks everything by contacting us. They believe the Concordat's leadership is violating their own founding principles. Many younger species are unaware of these practices, thinking the isolation of dangerous species is for galactic security." "What's our play?" asked General Santos, the head of Earth Defense. "Vale indicates the barrier has flaws," Nakamura replied. "It's generated by massive field projectors placed at strategic points around our system. More importantly, it's not uniform. There are fluctuations, momentary weaknesses. We find a weakness, we break through," Maya suggested. "Not exactly," Nakamura said, looking directly at her. "We don't want to break the barrier. That would only justify their claim that we're dangerous. We want to slip through, gather evidence of the Concordat's deception, and broadcast it to the galaxy. The hologram changed to show a sleek spacecraft unlike anything Maya had seen before. "This is the Odyssey," Nakamura continued. "A stealth vessel incorporating our latest quantum entanglement technology. It's designed to detect and exploit the barrier's fluctuations." Maya felt a surge of anticipation as she realized where this was heading. "We made it," Lagos whispered, staring at the view screen where the stars looked somehow different, untainted by the filter of the barrier. Maya allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction before focusing on their next challenge. "Communications, passive scan only. Let's see what's out here." The scan revealed several Concordat outposts within range, but nothing that appeared to have detected their passage. The invisibility technology of the Odyssey seemed to be working as designed. "Set course for the coordinates Vale provided," Maya ordered. "Maximum stealth mode." As the Odyssey moved silently through Concordat space, Maya studied the information Vale had sent them. According to their informant, the central archives of the Concordat were located on a massive station called the Repository, orbiting a neutron star in the Cygnus sector. There, they would find evidence of the Concordat's deception, records of observation posts around Earth, technological theft, and the true reasons for Earth's isolation. Looking out at the unfamiliar stars, Maya felt a profound sense of purpose. Humanity had been caged, but not because they were dangerous, because they were valuable. Their minds were the greatest resource in the galaxy, and the Concordat wanted to control that resource. "They think they've contained us," she said softly to herself. "They're about to learn that human ingenuity cannot be contained." Behind her, the Earth was now invisible, hidden behind the barrier that was meant to be humanity's prison. But Maya knew it wouldn't remain a prison for long. Beyond the stars lay the truth, and they were going to find it. The Odyssey continued its silent journey into Concordat space, carrying with it humanity's hopes for freedom and justice among the stars. The infiltration. 3 weeks into Concordat space, and Captain Maya Chen was beginning to understand the true scope of what humanity was facing. The Odyssey had traveled carefully between star systems, gathering intelligence and avoiding the numerous patrol vessels that maintained the Concordat's authority. "It's enormous," Lieutenant Wells said during one of their daily briefings. "We've mapped 43 distinct species so far, inhabiting at least 600 star systems, and that's just what we've been able to observe from a distance." Dr. Elijah Okafor, the ship's chief engineer and creator of the phantom tech that kept them hidden from Concordat sensors, studied the holographic map they had constructed. "Notice the pattern," he said, highlighting specific systems. "The older member species, the founding members of the Concordat, occupy the central systems with the most resources. Newer members are relegated to the outer regions, often in systems with limited resources." Maya frowned. Classic colonialism. The established powers maintain control by restricting access to resources and technology. "Precisely," agreed Dr. Sofia Mendez, the ship's xenoanthropologist. "And from what we've been able to intercept from their communications, there's significant unrest among the newer members. They joined the Concordat expecting equal treatment and technological sharing, but that's not what they received." Maya contemplated this information. Potential allies, then. The Odyssey continued its approach to the Repository, the massive archive station that, according to Vale, contained the evidence they sought. As they drew closer, the challenges became more apparent. The Repository orbited a neutron star, its powerful magnetic field providing both energy for the station and a natural defense against attack. Concordat vessels constantly moved in and out, delivering new data and retrieving information. "How do we get in?" Maya asked during their final planning session. Dr. Okafor activated a holographic display of the station. "The repository is divided into sections based on security clearance. The outer rings contain publicly accessible information, scientific data, cultural records, historical accounts, all carefully curated by the Concordat." He zoomed in on the center of the station. The inner sections contain the restricted archives, military information, diplomatic records, and the true historical accounts that the Concordat doesn't want widely known. That's where we need to go. Security? Asked Lieutenant Emma Frost, head of the mission's infiltration team. Multiple layers, Okafor replied. Biometric scanners calibrated for Concordat species, quantum-encrypted access points, and robotic sentries. But the most challenging aspect is this. He highlighted a network of thin lines crisscrossing the station, a detection grid that identifies unauthorized technology. Our Phantom tech can fool their external sensors, but once inside, we'll need something more sophisticated. Maya turned to him. You have a solution. Okafor smiled. I've been studying the Concordat's technology based on the data Vale provided. They rely heavily on predictable quantum states. Essentially, they expect technology to behave in certain ways. So I've developed what I call chameleon circuits that can mimic approved Concordat technology signatures. Will it work? Maya asked directly. In theory, Okafor admitted. It's never been tested against actual Concordat security systems, but it's our best option. The plan they developed was bold but necessarily complex. The Odyssey would approach during a scheduled delivery of new archives, hiding in the electromagnetic shadow of a regular transport vessel. Once near the station, a small team would deploy in a specially modified shuttle equipped with Okafor's chameleon technology. Maya insisted on leading the infiltration team herself, along with Lieutenant Frost, Dr. Mendez to interpret any alien languages they encountered, and Dr. Okafor to handle the technology. The rest of the crew would remain with the Odyssey, prepared for immediate extraction if things went wrong. As they made their final preparations, Maya received an encrypted message from Vale. It was brief but concerning. Security increased. Someone suspects. Proceed with extreme caution. Despite the warning, Maya knew they couldn't turn back. The opportunity might not come again. The approach to the repository went smoothly, perhaps too smoothly. The Odyssey positioned itself behind a massive data transport, using its bulk to mask their presence from the station's outer sensors. The infiltration shuttle detached silently, its chameleon circuits active, making it appear to be a routine maintenance drone. Approaching docking port 7, Frost reported as she piloted the shuttle. No reaction from station security. Let's hope it stays that way, Maya replied, checking her equipment one last time. The shuttle attached to an external maintenance port, and Okafor quickly bypassed the automated systems to grant them access. They entered through a narrow service corridor, designed for robotic maintenance units rather than humanoid beings. The central archive is 17 levels down, Mendez whispered, consulting the map Vale had provided. We'll need to use maintenance shafts to avoid the main corridors. The interior of the repository was a testament to the Concordat's power and age. Unlike the sleek, functional designs of Earth vessels, the station featured ornate architecture and decorative elements that seemed unnecessarily elaborate. The walls themselves appeared to be made of some crystalline material that subtly shifted colors as they passed. It's beautiful, Mendez commented, as they carefully moved through the service areas. Beauty built on oppression, Maya replied, thinking of the inequality they had observed in Concordat space. They encountered few beings in the maintenance areas, mostly automated systems that Okafor's technology fooled into ignoring them. Occasionally, they caught glimpses of Concordat members through grates and access panels, a dizzying array of alien forms, some vaguely humanoid, others utterly foreign in design. Remember, Maya cautioned as they approached the more secure levels, we're here for information only. No confrontation unless absolutely necessary. The first real challenge came at a security checkpoint leading to the restricted archives. 2 reptilian guards stood before a scanning arch, checking the credentials of anyone seeking to pass. Now what? Frost whispered as they observed from a service alcove. Okafor studied the checkpoint through a small device of his own design. The scanner is looking for Concordat biosignatures and security clearance. My chameleon circuit can fool the technology scanner, but not the biometric one. Maya considered their options. "We need a distraction." As if in answer to her thoughts, an alarm suddenly blared from a different section of the station. The guards looked at each other, then one of them hurried away toward the disturbance, leaving a single guard at the checkpoint. "That's not us, is it?" Maya asked, concerned. Okafor checked his instruments. "No, it appears to be genuine. Perhaps we're not the only ones interested in the Concordat's secrets today." Taking advantage of the distraction, Frost moved silently behind the remaining guard. With practiced efficiency, she applied a specially designed sedative patch to the being's exposed neck. The guard slumped silently to the floor. "That won't last long," she warned as they dragged the unconscious form into the service alcove. "It doesn't need to," Maya replied. "Okafor, can you bypass the scanner?" The engineer was already working on the control panel. "Give me 2 minutes." True to his word, the security arch deactivated moments later, and they slipped through into the restricted archives. The central archive was a vast, circular chamber filled with countless data crystals arranged in intricate patterns. Holographic interfaces floated at various workstations, currently unoccupied due to the alarm distraction. "Where do we start?" Maya asked, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information. Dr. Mendez approached one of the interfaces, studying the alien symbols. According to Vale's information, data on Earth should be categorized under quarantine species or possibly resource worlds. Working quickly, she navigated through the system, translating as she went. "Here, emergent intelligence management. That sounds promising." The files they found confirmed everything Vale had told them and more. For centuries, the Concordat had been monitoring Earth, identifying promising technologies and innovations that could be appropriated for their own use. Earth wasn't the only world receiving this treatment. Dozens of emerging species had been placed under observation, their unique innovations harvested while their civilizations were kept isolated and unaware. "Look at this," Mendez said, her voice tight with anger. "They've categorized human cognitive patterns as a harvestable resource. They literally see our creativity as something to be mined." Maya felt cold fury building inside her as she reviewed the data. "Download everything. We need complete proof." As Okafor prepared a specialized data crystal to copy the archives, Maya found documentation of the Concordat's internal debates about Earth. Some members had argued for direct contact and invitation into the galactic community, but the ruling council had overruled them, citing humanity's unpredictable nature and dangerous potential for disruption. "They're afraid of us," Maya realized. "Not because we're violent, but because we think differently. We change too quickly for them to control." Another file revealed the true purpose of the barrier around Earth's solar system, not just to contain humanity, but to prevent other species from discovering Earth's unique cognitive abilities. The Concordat feared that if younger member species learned how the older powers had been harvesting human innovation, it could spark rebellion. "They're right to be afraid," Maya said grimly. "Download complete." Okafor nodded, securing the data crystal. "Everything we need is here. Time to leave." As they prepared to exit, Dr. Mendez hesitated at one of the interfaces. "Captain, there's something else here you should see." She brought up a file labeled Special Directive 937. The document detailed a Concordat plan to eventually allow limited human representatives into Concordat space, not as equals, but as specially conditioned innovation consultants whose creative abilities would be directly harvested through neural interfaces. "They never intended to keep us isolated forever," Maya said, her voice hardening. "They were just waiting until they developed the technology to control us more directly." "Captain," Frost interrupted urgently. "Security systems are resetting. The alarm distraction is ending." "Time to go," Maya ordered, downloading the additional file before they hurried back toward the security checkpoint. They had almost reached the service corridor when they heard voices approaching, security personnel responding to the unconscious guard they had left behind. "Alternative route," Maya whispered, directing them toward a different maintenance shaft. The new path took them through a section of the station they hadn't planned to visit, living quarters for the repository's permanent staff. They moved silently, avoiding the occasional Concordat member returning to their quarters after the alarm. They were nearly to the extraction point when disaster struck. Rounding a corner, they came face to face with a tall, blue-skinned being whose rank insignia marked it as a high-level security official. The alien's 4 eyes widened in shock at the sight of them. Before the being could react, Frost moved forward, applying another sedative patch. But this alien's physiology was different. The sedative took longer to work. It managed to activate an emergency communicator on its wrist before collapsing. "We've been compromised," Maya announced, all pretense of stealth abandoned. "Run." They sprinted toward the docking port where their shuttle waited, alarms blaring behind them. Security barriers began closing throughout the station, forcing them to find alternative routes on the fly. "Odyssey, this is Infiltration Team," Maya called over their secure channel. "Our cover is blown. Prepare for emergency extraction." "Acknowledged, Captain," came the calm voice of Lieutenant Wells. "Moving to extraction point now." They reached the maintenance port just as security forces appeared at both ends of the corridor. Frost laid down suppressing fire with a non-lethal stun weapon, while the others boarded the shuttle. Once everyone was aboard, Maya sealed the hatch and Okafor disengaged the docking clamps. The shuttle pulled away from the repository as energy weapons fire began impacting their shields. The Odyssey appeared from behind the data transport, positioning itself between the shuttle and the station's defensive weapons. "Shuttle secured," Maya reported as they docked with the Odyssey. "Get us out of here. Maximum speed." The Odyssey's engines flared to life, pushing the ship away from the repository at dangerous acceleration. Behind them, Concordat security vessels began to give chase. "They're locking weapons," Wells reported from the tactical station. "Evasive maneuvers," Maya ordered as she retook command. "Deploy countermeasures." The Odyssey released a cloud of specially designed nanoprobes that created false sensor readings, confusing the pursuing vessels. Taking advantage of the confusion, Maya ordered a course change that took them dangerously close to the neutron star's radiation belt. "Captain, that course will expose us to extreme radiation," Wells cautioned. "Our shields are designed to handle it," Maya responded. "Theirs aren't. Stay on course." The gamble paid off. As the Odyssey skimmed the edge of the radiation belt, the pursuing vessels fell back, unwilling to risk damage to their systems. By the time they found a safer pursuit route, the Odyssey had gained enough lead to activate its quantum drive, disappearing from Concordat sensors. In the relative safety of faster-than-light travel, Maya called her officers to the briefing room. The data crystal sat in the center of the table, containing everything they had risked their lives to obtain. "So what now?" asked Lieutenant Frost. "We have the evidence, but we're still one ship against an entire galactic civilization. How do we expose their lies?" Maya studied the star chart showing their position relative to Concordat space. According to Vale's information, there's a major communications hub in the Vega sector. It broadcasts to all Concordat worlds simultaneously. "You want to hijack a Concordat communications hub?" Wells asked incredulously. "Not hijack," Maya corrected. "We're going to use it exactly as intended, to spread information throughout the Concordat. The truth about Earth, about all the quarantined species, about how the founding members have been exploiting everyone else." Dr. Mendez looked thoughtful. "The younger member species already have grievances against the Concordat leadership. This information could be the catalyst for significant change. Or for war," Wells cautioned. Maya shook her head. "We're not here to start a war. We're here to end a deception. The Concordat has maintained power through lies and manipulation. Once those are exposed, they'll have to change or fall." She looked around at her crew, seeing determination in their eyes. They had come farther than any humans had gone before, seen things no one from Earth had witnessed, and discovered truths that could change the course of galactic history. "Set course for the Vega Communications Hub," she ordered. "It's time to let the galaxy know the truth." As the Odyssey sped through space, Maya reviewed the evidence they had gathered. The Concordat's lies were about to be exposed, and humanity would no longer be contained. What came next would depend on how the galaxy responded to the truth, and whether there were enough beings out there who valued freedom over control. One thing was certain: the galaxy was about to change forever. The revolution. The Vega Communications Hub hung in space like a crystalline spider, its delicate arms extending outward to capture and redirect signals from across the Concordat. Unlike the imposing military presence of the repository, the hub was designed for accessibility, a neutral ground where information flowed freely, or as freely as the Concordat permitted. From the Odyssey's hidden position behind Vega's fourth planet, Maya and her crew observed the hub's operations, planning their approach. "The security is lighter than at the repository," Lieutenant Frost noted as she reviewed the sensor data. "Mostly automated systems with minimal personnel. They don't expect anyone to want to break into a communication station," Maya replied. "What would be the point? Everything broadcast from there is strictly controlled and monitored." Dr. Okafor had been working day and night since their escape from the repository, developing a specialized transmission package that would integrate seamlessly with the hub's systems. "The beauty of their communication network is its efficiency," he explained during the final briefing. "Once a signal enters the main distribution node, it's automatically relayed to every connected system in the Concordat. No human or alien intervention required." "And our message?" Maya asked. Okafor gestured to Dr. Mendez, who had been compiling the evidence into a coherent narrative that beings across the galaxy could understand, regardless of their species or previous knowledge of Earth. "We've structured it as a historical record," Mendez explained, "beginning with the Concordat's founding principles: equality, mutual advancement, shared knowledge, then showing how those principles were betrayed by the founding members." She displayed a series of images extracted from the repository files: Concordat observation posts around Earth, records of technological appropriation, and internal memos discussing the harvesting of human innovation. "The most damning evidence comes from their own internal debates," Mendez continued. "Their fears about human cognitive patterns being disruptive to the established order, their plans to eventually use humans as neural resources rather than equal partners." Maya nodded, satisfied. "And you've included the evidence about other quarantine species as well." "Of course," Mendez confirmed. "The Lurians in the Polaris sector, the Netheri in Rigel, all civilizations with unique attributes that the Concordat has been exploiting while keeping them isolated. The plan they developed was elegant in its simplicity. Rather than a frontal assault or covert infiltration, they would approach the hub openly, using diplomatic protocols that Vale had provided. The hub maintains an open-door policy for official communications from Concordat members," Maya explained to her crew. "With Vale's access codes, we can request emergency broadcast privileges. By the time they realize we're not who we claim to be, our message will already be in the system." Lieutenant Wells looked skeptical, and when they realized the deception, "We run," Maya said simply. "Fast." As the Odyssey approached the hub, Maya felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. They were about to change the course of galactic history, assuming they survived long enough to complete their mission. "Incoming communication from Hub Control," announced the communications officer. Maya straightened her uniform and nodded. On screen. The view screen activated to show a being with translucent skin and compound eyes, clearly surprised by the unfamiliar vessel approaching their station. "Unidentified ship, state your purpose and authorization," the being demanded. Maya stepped forward, projecting confidence. "This is Envoy Terrace of the Solani Diplomatic Corps," she said, using the identity Vale had provided. "We carry an urgent diplomatic communication for galaxy-wide distribution. Authorization code Sigma 73 Epsilon." There was a pause as the being verified the code. Then, with obvious reluctance, "Authorization confirmed, Envoy." Proceed to Docking Bay 4 for verification of your communication package. Acknowledged, Hub Control. As the transmission ended, Maya turned to her crew. They're suspicious, but the authorization worked. We'll proceed as planned. The Odyssey docked smoothly at the designated bay. Instead of a full boarding party, only Maya and Dr. Okafor would disembark, carrying the precious data package. The rest of the crew remained aboard, ready for immediate departure. The reception area was staffed by a mix of biological beings and automated systems. Maya presented their credentials to a stern-looking official with elongated limbs and a cranial crest. Your communication has been authorized for priority review, the official stated. Follow me to the verification chamber. As they were led through the hub, Maya and Okafor exchanged glances. This was the most dangerous part of their plan. They needed to reach the main distribution node, not a verification chamber where their deception would be discovered. Okafor discreetly activated a device on his wrist. Moments later, alarms sounded from a distant section of the hub. Security breach in Sector 7, announced an automated voice. All security personnel report immediately. Their escort hesitated, clearly torn between duty to these visitors and responding to the alarm. Go, Maya said with authoritative calm. We can wait here until you return. The official barked instructions to a subordinate to watch them, then hurried away. The subordinate, a younger being who appeared nervous and overwhelmed, kept glancing anxiously in the direction of the alarm. This happens often, Maya asked conversationally. And never, the young official admitted. I should probably check with my supervisor. Of course, Maya agreed sympathetically. We'll wait right here. The moment the subordinate stepped away to use a communication panel, Maya and Okafor moved swiftly down a different corridor, following the path to the distribution node that Vale had provided. We have approximately 3 minutes before they realize we're gone, Okafor estimated as they hurried through the pristine corridors. The distribution node was a circular chamber dominated by a pulsing crystalline structure that seemed to flow with energy. Various workstations surrounded it, currently unattended due to the security alert. Perfect, Okafor murmured, approaching the main console. He connected their data package and began the upload process. This will take about 90 seconds to integrate with their systems. Maya positioned herself by the door, watching for any sign of pursuit. And then how long until it broadcasts? Once integrated, it will automatically distribute to all connected systems, Okafor replied, his fingers moving rapidly over the alien interface. The beauty of their own efficiency, they designed the system to disseminate information as widely as possible. Suddenly, Maya's communicator vibrated. Captain, this is Wells. Concordat security vessels are approaching the hub. We've been identified. How long do we have? She asked urgently. Minutes at most, Wells replied. You need to finish and get back here now. Maya relayed this to Okafor, who nodded without looking up from his work. Almost there. Integration at 80%, 85%. The sound of running footsteps echoed from the corridor outside. Maya drew her weapon, a non-lethal stun device, as she had insisted that their mission would not involve casualties. Dr. Okafor, she prompted tensely. 90%, 95%. There. It's done. He disconnected from the console just as the door slid open to reveal several security officers. Stop right there, the lead officer commanded, raising a weapon. Maya fired her stun device, creating a moment of confusion as the officers ducked for cover. She and Okafor,